Michael Tsarian on with us for the next hour and 50 minutes. Michael, welcome.
Oh, thanks a lot, Alex. It's nice to be on. Thanks for the invitation.
You bet. It's great.
I'm a big supporter of your work. Followed it from the beginning, and just want to offer you my total congratulations, not only on your work, but the gutsy way that you've been doing it. And I just want to say to all your listeners out there, if we had more people like you and as gutsy as you to back up what you're talking about with action, we wouldn't be in the mess in America that, we are today. So I give you a lot of kudos for what you've been doing through the years, Alex.
Well, Michael, kudos to you. For some of my audience that may not know who you are, tell us a little bit about yourself, your awakening, and then let's, strike a chord in the present with what the global banking structure is doing, your point of view, your perspective on what's happening there, and then let's get into what makes the New World Order tick and what their end game is, Michael.
Right, thanks. My research has started pretty much in Ireland. And about 13 years of age, I started to realize, two things. One is that we're being told nothing but a tissue of lies from the official, orthodox, fundamentalistic sort of educational system. It just doesn't fit the facts. Growing up in Belfast at that time was very difficult because there was a lot of violence and trouble. But basically, I started to see through that and check out the orange parades that happened in July, and seeing a lot of the symbolism that was being used there. One thing led to another. Through the study of this symbolism that's being used by the Orange Order, I suddenly started to research the history of the Orange Order, discovered that it's not so much a political, organization as it is a fraternal brotherhood. And then I saw subsequently later, a few years later, start discovering that this is the same story with the IRA, particularly the provisional IRA, and then we have the official IRA. And then I started to notice, by tracking through all the different symbolism and then going through the research works and the reference works, that basically what we're dealing here is a one-party system. I mean, this is in the early days, so I didn't have the whole globalist picture here. But just from my own researches in the microcosm of Ireland, growing up there, I realized that we're not being told the truth about these organizations and how these are connected to the super Masonic orders, the Freemasonic orders. So basically around 15, 16 years of age, again, pretty much in an Irish context, I broadened my study to look into this whole movement of the secret societies in the world. And this was, a little bit before coming across the works of the great American scholars like the G. Edward Griffins and the Eustace Mullinses and the Jordan Maxwells and so forth and so on. I hadn't had exposure to these thinkers. Even the Ralph Eppersons, all the people who basically connect all the dots. I had to wait till I came to America, in sort of 82, and then later on in the 90s to really sort of have these teachers help put things together. But I noticed that, you see, in America, a few people have the whole European understanding of how the British Royals, how some of the Fabian networks, how the Common Purpose, how some of the groups like the Club of the Isles. And this connects again with high-level Freemasonry, not only Scottish Rite Freemasonry, but like I say, the Orange Order, the orders that are behind the IRA, like the Irish Republican Brotherhood, the Ancient Order of Hibernians, the Green Ribbon Society, the Clan na Gael, all from an Irish context. My studies then continued to show me that these groups that are funded and armed to the teeth, basically what the public know as terrorist organizations operating in Ireland, are far from merely Irish. These groups are connected to the international, underground of the entire Black Hand, meaning the entire terrorist network.
And that's used to destabilize and frighten the public into accepting the state dominating them. And it's even come out in mainstream news now that the IRA and the Orange, the Protestants at the highest levels, were really meeting and working together, and that they were all basically British and international intelligence, just completely staged.
On a very high level. See, again, when you point your finger in this direction, people, they sort of poo-poo that. They can't see that because they've been so brainwashed. They've been so, brainwashed by the media that they don't check these things out. I'm one of only three. There's three of us that have, studied the occult history of Ireland. This is where my research is then, lo and behold. Well,
I just know it's come out all over the mainstream news, and I've had a lot of the former British commandos, SAS, on, who they would finally get to the top of the IRA, and all three of the leaders were all British intelligence, and then they would, infiltrate the Orange and find out, that the three heads of the IRA were meeting with the three heads of the Orange. And it was just a way to terrorize the public, and they used the infighting and the bombings as a pretext to basically murder and kill and oppress whoever they want.
They've done that. And by consistently, this incredible fear and death toll and the murder of innocent people in the country on both sides. I'm talking because I'm not partisan. I'm not siding with either side. I'm just looking at this thing, from the overview. Yeah, that trouble made Ireland a third world country in the West. They degraded the people. They kept them ignorant. They kept them stupid while they used the land.
Yeah, that's the old divide and conquer. And now groups today want you to bash the Protestants, or want you to bash the Jews, or want you to bash the Catholics, or want you to bash the Hindus, or they always want you to bash a particular group, and they always want to divide our movement into all these subgroups, and then they'll claim that I'm this group or that group just so they can get other groups like hunting dogs to alert on me, and I'm trying to explain to them they're in a controlled sub-paradigm.
How many jugglers can you get in a room? How many pit bulls can you get into the pen? This is, I saw firsthand in the Irish context also that these groups were connected to these higher Masonic orders, because we're not talking about the street level stuff here that, people are never going to get their mind around at all. But anyone who studied the British system and how these clubs and these organizations, fraternal orders, are networked into these terrorist organizations, how they fund them, how they meet at the top, like you say, behind the so-called lodge door, that not a single one of these distinctions, not a single one of these biases that people are willing to die for in the streets. You see, this is what I saw in Ireland. Whether you're Jew or Muslim, you're Christian or not, or whether you are Protestant or Catholic, or whether you are rich or poor, or whether you are conservative or labor. You see, all these divisions that people are just enmeshed in the outer world. I started to learn that this doesn't mean a damn behind the lodge door. It's a totally different agenda, and that's how my research is into deeper matters, into the whole occult symbolism that these people are using and their occult origins.
And really, it's a gang. And of course, most Masons are well-meaning, good people. They don't understand that the higher levels of their order, have been used as a vehicle for secret intelligence agency operations. Is basically what's happening. And the New World Order goes to like a wardrobe with a Catholic outfit, a Jewish outfit, a Muslim outfit, a Protestant outfit, and they just put that cloak on. And that's why it's so hard to get after them. But we know the overriding thing they want, they say they're trying to get rid of government, but really they create the mega state through which they can control the society.
And I'm very concerned about what you just said about the fact that we have to start appealing. I mean, my main message is for the complete disbandingment of all secret societies. I don't belong to any secret society, never have done. And the message that is often recurrent through my own work is for the total illegality, the making of all these kinds of secret societies. I don't care if it's Opus Dei or Scottish Rite Freemasonry. With the masses of the world need to actually start integrating laws that make these groups absolutely illegal. But more than that, in the meantime, until we do that, my message actually goes out to members, like some of these, the good folks, the good people who are, the rank and file of these orders. That's why my research has taken me into the subject of Masonry and into the occultism, and I've had a lot of backlash from that, from people who don't have a clue in their heads as to why you want to maybe study this kind of subject matter. Well, how the hell are you going to appeal to people who are, well-meaning members of these various secret societies unless you speak in their own language in order to try and explain to them some of the symbolism and the rites and the rituals where it comes from? Not that some of the rites and rituals are wrong, it's just that you're doing a normal critique. In order to relate to these people, you've got to know what they're doing. You got to know what. Well,
Michael, I don't want to disagree with you, but anything that has the power to ban something, that is a right of association, it itself could turn into a great tyranny. I mean, I think there should be public exposure. There should be open discussions. If groups are found to be involved in collusion, the classic case of, somebody who's committed a murder, the Mason in distress sign, and they're let off. And that happened with a great uncle I had. I mean, he told us about it. It wasn't, and it was the cases in the newspaper. But, his argument was he had to go through a Masonic trial afterwards, to find out if that was, true, or they would have, quote, dealt with him, drowning him, if he would have lied. You tell low-level Masons that, they just don't, they're just not aware of the higher level things that go on. But asking you a question, I mean, how do you say ban these things? The engine that could ban these societies would rise up into a mighty tyranny itself.
Yeah, there's always that danger, and there's always a danger that, by making them illegal, they go underground. It's not a total win solution, but what needs to happen is that the ordinary people have got to find out about the tiger in the long grass and at least arm themselves up with even a modicum. I mean, that's what our programs are doing. That's what our work is doing. And you do have to address it. I like to address them because it's better to address them. You can address the beginners, you can address the seasoned, and you have to address the insider as well. So my work goes a lot to the insiders. I mean, you said it yourself a few minutes ago. You had insiders from the Orange Lodge, insiders from the IRA, whistleblowers. If you look back through the whole conspiracy movement and the exposure, you'll find that the greatest damage has been done by the generals, by the insiders, by the politicians, even up to the level of presidents who've come out and written memoirs and exposed the tiger in the long grass. So we never, it's not my main focus, but it's something that we surely need to always, take on board.
Okay, Michael, listen, I'm going to skip this break for Infowars.com listeners. They'll get